To watch and understand this video till the end, you will require a pinch of patience only for the next 10 minutes. In this video, you'll learn about how the poet Vikram Seth is connected to Calcutta and the brand Bata. Strange, isn't it? We'll also learn about the exact location where the poem takes place. There are a few notes awaiting, and I have also given you a line by line explanation of each stanza of the poem. So let's get started. Hello well-wishers, I welcome you all to my YouTube channel Aspiring Minds. In today's video, I will be talking about a poem which is actually an anti-war poem written by Vikram Seth called A Doctor's Journal Entry of August 6, 1945. The poem A Doctor's Journal Entry for August 6, 1945 by Vikram Seth is an account of the horrific incident of the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan in the year 1945. This poem is actually in the form of a journal entry by a doctor. The poem speaks about the horror and the destruction which is caused by the bomb, as well as the feelings and emotions of the doctor who feels helpless and is sad as he tries to treat the wounded soldiers, the injured and the dying people. Now, for our convenience, I have divided the poem into stanzas, and that will be easy for us so that we can decode the meaning of the poem line by line. Now here you see how there were articles published and it became a viral news, and alongside you also see a picture of the exact location where the bombing had taken place in Japan in the places Hiroshima and Nagasaki on August 6, 1945. Vikram Seth is a very important poet and English literature. He was born on 20th June 1952 and he is still living. He was born in Calcutta, which is in present day also known as Kolkata. And do you know an interesting fact about him? His father was the executive of the Bata shoes company. It's a very famous company for, shoes in Kolkata, and all the people of Kolkata generally prefer to wear shoes of the Bata company. Now, during his lifetime till now, he has written 3 famous novels which include The Golden Gate, A Suitable Boy, and An Equal Music. He has also been awarded with the Padma Shri Award in the year 2007, the Parvasi Bharatiya Samman in 2008, and he is among the most celebrated Indian novelists and poets. The poem interestingly begins on a very beautiful note. It is described that it is morning time. The morning is calm, beautiful and warm. As the doctor wakes up, he observes that the leaves are shimmering and the light from the sun is so bright that the shadows from the trees are falling on the ground. But the doctor is surprised because suddenly he sees a strong flash of light, which is then followed by another flash of light. Now this surprises the doctor to a great extent. He gives a description of how the old stone lantern in his room, which was lighted up, he thought that the magnesium flares were coming from that. But then he noticed that the roof and the walls started falling down. Then he fell down himself in a heap of wood and there was dust rising everywhere. The doctor found himself suddenly in the garden, and the drawers and the undershirt, all that he had been wearing, were all gone. So that is the impact of the bombing, that how a beautiful morning suddenly within few seconds changes the entire scenario, the entire setting changes once there is this bomb attack. Through pictures, I have tried to describe how a calm, beautiful morning, due to magnesium flares coming from the bomb attack which had actually occurred, a real life incident in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan, how A beautiful landscape changes into that full of dust, debris, and everything seems to be collapsing and is on the verge of destruction. Now, as the doctor lands up in the garden of his own house with dust and debris everywhere, he suddenly sees that there is a splinter, which is a sharp piece of metal or wood, which is sticking out from his already torn thigh. The right side of his body is terribly affected and it is bleeding. There are pieces of glass which have actually got stuck in his cheek. He's trying to remove them and he starts wondering what exactly has happened all of the sudden. Then he's reminded about his wife. He calls out to his wife by her name Yeko-san. And the strange and the sad part is that the force with which he calls out to his wife, it affects his already damaged artery in his neck and it bursts out with a lot of blood oozing out of it. So in total we see that there is a lot of panic everywhere because this is a very strange and sudden incident which has occurred, and he is looking for his wife to ensure and find out whether she is safe or not. As the doctor calls out to his wife, the wife actually appears and she too is not in a very good condition now. She is stained with blood all over and she is immensely scared, which is very obvious because you are sitting doing your regular work and suddenly this kind of a strange incident happens. Anyone will get scared. So here the reader will realize that the impact of the bomb was very immediate and it was very devastating. It caused a lot of destruction. It left the victims with no time to think, no time to escape from the situation. The doctor assures his wife that they would be alright and asks her to leave the house quickly. But as soon as she steps out on the street, they bang into something, they stumble or bang into something. The doctor actually thinks that this explosion might have been limited to their own house alone. But when they actually step out of the house, they see that it is not just them who have been affected, but everywhere there is a lot of ruin, there is a lot of destruction. Now in the previous stanza, we saw that as the doctor along with his wife, they step out of their house, they stumble or they bang upon something. In this stanza, we realize that it is actually that the doctor stumbles upon the head of another dead man. Now this man had fallen on the ground and a gate had fallen on top of him, which killed that man. Further, when they move ahead, they see that on the street there is horror everywhere because the buildings, some were tilted, some were on the verge of collapsing. There were other buildings which were breaking and crumbling down in front of their own eyes. In totality, the entire city was in the same state. It was not just them or their house alone. Now, being a doctor, he thought that they should immediately rush to the hospital because he would be soon required over there. And he even thought that he could also help his own staff when he would go to the hospital. Here we see that the doctor's conscience is actually, forcing him, despite his feeble, weak, injured body, to go and help the other victims who might have been affected at this time. At this moment in time, thirst and an injured body all take away the energy of the doctor. His legs couldn't stand any longer and he sits down on the ground, although he desperately wants to reach the hospital. The destruction everywhere leaves him with no water to drink, and the sudden situation that has arisen in front of him has left him even more thirsty. There was water nowhere to be found. He feels breathless, he is tired and exhausted, and he would desperately need some water to restore energy. However, he gathers his strength and courage, and then he finally gets up to his feet again. The doctor was still naked, but at this time he does not feel ashamed of himself because he associates himself with a common man and he has other important things to worry about. It seems as if there is nothing around him that can affect him except the destruction that lies in front of him. As he and his wife move ahead, they see a soldier standing silently in front of them. The soldier offers them a towel, and the doctor tries to wipe his legs and his dried blood with the help of that towel, and he requests or urges his wife to go ahead, and the doctor would go to his hospital. Although the wife does not want to go, leaving the doctor alone, but that is the best thing that they could do at this time. Now at this time we see that the wife, Yeko-san, she was completely reluctant. She did not want to leave her husband alone and go to the hospital, but that is the best thing that they could do. And therefore we see that when the wife leaves the doctor, he is feeling very lonely suddenly, and his mind, there is a rush of thoughts in his mind as to what exactly should be his plan of action. Left alone, in stanza 8 we see that the doctor observes shadow-like appearances everywhere. There are some people who are looking like ghosts and some who are looking like scarecrows. But one thing that is common among all these people is that they were all silent and numb. The survivors of this particular incident, they were walking with their arms hanging loose from their bodies. Now the poet is trying to create this kind of images to show the uselessness of war, that how war is a futile act, and all it does is it not only affects the enemy or the target audience or whoever the person the enemy is targeting, but it also leaves the common man very helpless and becoming victims of something that they've not done at all. Now at this time, the doctor further observes that there are victims who are injured and they are walking towards the hospital to get some first aid. He describes this act as being a parade. It is as if a parade is going on the streets and the injured people are walking towards the hospital looking for help. He also observes a woman with a child in her hand, and strangely they both are naked. It seems as if that these two people have just come out from taking a bath, but in reality it is because of the effect of bombing that the people, they lost their clothes, they lost their sense of health, balance, everything seemed to be ruined. Having looked at the naked woman just before this, the doctor just turns his gaze away from that woman, wondering why is she not covering up her clothes, because it's very shameful not to be, wearing her clothes. And then his eyes fall upon another man who is also naked. He is without clothes. This makes him realize that there has been some kind of substance or some strange thing which has been released as a result of this bombing, which has left nearly every person naked, without clothes at this moment. So you can imagine how shameful, how gory the entire picture was. In the final lines of the poem, the doctor is describing how he sees that there's an old woman who's lying down on the ground. Her face is marred with suffering. That means that her face was destroyed, it was distorted from the way it actually looked like. This also reminds me what we've recently seen, which a practice which was rampant is the acid attack, how it would leave the faces of people utterly distorted. Now it is not just this woman alone, but there are people all around that he turns his glance at, and he sees that they all are injured, their bodies are all dismantled, and it's a terrible scenario all around. But not a single citizen is actually crying for help. There is no protest, no crying, no wailing. Everyone is just mute. They are scared, frightened, and shocked to such an extent that there is a mute silence in which each and every person is suffering as a result of this bombing. I hope you were able to understand the line-by-line explanation which I have tried to provide, along with the meanings to important words in the poem. I will see you guys in the upcoming video. Thank you for watching. Do like, share and subscribe to my channel. Bye.